Until now, we have seen two interfaces in Envision, the user interface and the 3D Edit interface. But while flipping between the two, you may have noticed the rendering quality of 3D models change. I am referring to the clarity of the models when going in and out of 3D Edit mode. Right now, I am inside the 3D Edit mode of my model, but when I exit, you will see the quality of this model getting worse. This is due to a process called rasterizing, which takes an image of the 3D model's orientation and pastes its pixels on the canvas to create an object. That is why we are able to move the 3D model around the canvas and resize its shape. But the closer you zoom in to the model, the more blurry it becomes. This can be fixed in two ways. One is through changing how the object is rendered. You can do this by going up here under Raster Quality and choosing between very high and low settings. The higher raster quality, the more pixels will be captured, while the lower the raster quality, the less pixels will be displayed. That is why when I click on very high, the object seems to fade away, because the edges become more accurate with more pixels. The closer you zoom in, the more you will be able to see that accuracy. The second way that can fix this problem is through creating vector paths. Vector paths take the model's 3D orientation and instead of capturing an image with pixels like rasterizing does, it creates vectors for the pixels scanned. Since the vector path tool takes the data it needs from the model itself, the raster quality option will not affect it, so I do not need to change it here. I will leave all the settings like this and select the vector path ribbon. This will vectorize the object, and when it's finished, the object will appear somewhere on the canvas. Like this. I'll drag the vector object here, and as you see, the model is more defined. This is because all the edges captured are now vector objects grouped together. To see how they come together, you can right-click on one of these edges and press Ungroup. Now, when I look down at the status bar, I see that I currently have selected 12 objects, meaning there are 12 vector groups created from the 3D model itself. When I select this object here, I see that it contains even more vectors, so I will right-click and ungroup again. I hope this gives you an idea of how the vector paths were created and the different possibilities of this feature. I will now bring the object back to how it was by selecting all the objects like this and grouping them together to resize it a bit smaller. A few other settings that you can choose from when creating vector paths are rendering quality here, and even their type like edges, the fills, or even both. Vector paths will also work with any orientation of your models, so you do not have to worry if they are faced a certain way. I can show you this by creating a vector object of this image, for example like this. Another option that you can choose when creating vector paths is hidden lines. These are the edges of the model that do not appear on the screen, but if you wanted to display them, you could check this option here, and they would look like this.